Today, our guest has spent 3 decades building a bridge between medicine, wellness, and fitness. He's scaled programs from coaching coaches, proving what actually works in the real world. Uh, I'm really excited to dive in today. I want to welcome to Bioinsights, where we turn physiology, data, behavior into playbooks or into using business methods for tomorrow. My name is Marcelo, your host. Today I have Dave Appel joining me from Korb Health. He's the Chief Health and Wellness Officer. He is also the founder of CrossFit South Lamar, SOLA. Joining me today from Austin, Texas. Dave's career, like I said, spans over 30 years. I've actually worked with him in the past at Polar. We collaborated together working in that market space. He's managed and trained over 100 teams. He's recognized in the CrossFit community, and he's designed measurable wellness programs that align with many business objectives. Generally, he improves people's lives. So with that, I want to welcome Dave. Welcome to the show, and I look forward to covering our topics today.
Well, fantastic. Thanks, Marcelo. I'm really excited to be here, and that was a fantastic intro.
I try to always really, it's always a hard thing to encapsulate because there's people that have done so much, or I don't want to leave things out, and I try to always prepare and do my homework. So to kind of unpack things here, how do you design something that has high adherence in a wellness program? Because obviously you've seen it in a broad spectrum. So how do you partner with now medical and corporate stakeholders? How do you scale education and behavior change across that diverse population?
That's a great question. I think it all really stems from the relationship in really letting whoever that partner might be know that, for instance, this relationship, let's say if a fitness chain decides to partner with Korb, it's not just another product on the shelf. It's not a supplements and they just sit there. It's an interactive engagement where we're working, myself in particular, really working to help them look at it. Where does it fit in? How does it become a part of the programs and the ethos of the facility that you've already created, and not to create this thing that kind of comes in and punches its way in. It's really being receptive and talking to them. Where are their pain points? Finding out what it is they're trying to do. And I think a lot of times, as we're trying to grow, and it's like, okay, let's do this and this and this and this, and then you're like, well, how do all those things actually work together? The synergistic benefits of some of the programs that Korb offers, in the health and wellness space, are really tied to everything that goes on in the fitness facility. People are coming to us for help, medical assistance, whether that's testosterone replacement, women's health, or weight loss. We're here to provide the medicine at a high quality, comprehensive, person-to-person presentation of that, and then guiding them into, hey, you're going to have to change the way you eat, and you're going to have to get active. That's not our focus. That's where the gyms come into play. These facilities of that's what they do. That's what everybody's doing in those places. But I want to help to educate whoever those champions are that really see the opportunity. Always start with the ones that want it and not really try to force it, and then let it start to build organically. I think we had the pleasure of working together back in the 2000s, and this really reminds me of heart rate monitors in the early 2000s that extreme athletes wore them. It wasn't this integration to where wearables, now everybody has a wearable. And we were trying to get health clubs to offer them as a sell point within whether it was their club or whatever the system was they had. And I remember when the big dog, the big box, Lifetime, decided to move forward, then it became that, well, everybody should be doing it. And I really feel that this is a lot like that. It's, okay, how does it work? What are the benefits going to be? Of course, there's some profit that we have to talk about. Everything, it's an industry. We're all trying to make a little bit more money, but it's a tipping point to me. It's that collective mass going, oh, okay, well, I see how they're doing it. I think we're ready to go ahead and do it as well. And to be as much of a collaborator as possible, in all of this.
So when did this become your mission, to bridge medicine and fitness?
I think just being in the CrossFit space for as long as I was. When we opened mid 2000s, I think CrossFit was at its peak, and I never wanted a competitor's gym. I wanted people to come in because I saw the thing about why people stay. I mean, we have members that have been there since we've opened. They've been there 10, 12 years. Oh. Is that the community tie to this becomes, I think, for some even more important than the fitness aspect of it. And when I started to see like the emotional connection that just keeps drawing people in because they don't want to text and be like, hey, Marcelo, man, we work out at 6:30. Where are you at? What's going on? It's like that alone, in that everybody working harder and changing the way you eat, unfortunately, is a very difficult pill to swallow for a lot of people. It's not a one-size-fit-all opportunity. And we ran multiple challenges and multiple food challenges and having people come in and cook private chef style stuff and have meals ready for them. And there's an aspect that fortunately, I've never really had to deal with. Had good genetics. I was always active. It was just kind of a part of my life. But when I really started to listen and ask questions, hey, what is it? Oh man, at night at 10 o'clock, I'll eat everything in the house. It's like there were these things that started to come up, and it's like, the behavioral side of this is so much deeper. I absolutely loved what we were able to do with our gym because we became known as the place to go. I call it the Cheers of CrossFit. It's like where everybody knows your name. That's more important that the coaches and all of us know the people than it is oh man, you just PR'd on your squat. Like, yeah, we'll get there. And then I've always been a lab rat myself of just, if something comes out, I'm going to try it. And so I had a member that I hadn't seen for a while. He came in and he was a fit guy, but he had lost, I don't know, like 20 pounds. He was just shredded. And I'm like, what? Where did you go? And he's like, a friend of mine turned me on to semaglutide. And I was like, well, okay, what is this? And he starts to walk me through, it's a peptide, not only do you lose weight, but you don't want to drink and all this other stuff. He's like, it was amazing. So that really got me excited of like, what is out there? What have I been missing? You automatically think of injectables, and it's kind of this, you go into the dark zone of steroids and all this other stuff, and then you really start to dig in on the peptide side, and a lot of these things are naturally occurring amino acids in your system, so we're not really forcing an entity in to kick something else to do the job, and really just started messing around and kind of getting a better understanding and following anybody and everybody I could. And then one of my members that I had been personal training, kind of the COVID days, brought in just a lot of folks that had gotten kicked out of whatever got shut down. And his name's Brock Rush. He's the CEO of our company at Korb Health. And he is kind of a serial entrepreneur, but in the medical space. He went away for a little bit, came back, and he was like, hey, I'm starting this medical wellness company. And we'd love for you to come on and let's just see what happens. You can be our chief health and wellness officer. We've worked with you. I kind of get where you're coming from on this. And I've always been, I just want somebody to have that feeling of like success. And if this is the catalyst that helps to get them started, I would never want to get in the way of telling or chastising somebody that's probably tried everything and to tell them, hey, don't go down that road. You know, just double how many times you come to the gym and let's change the way you eat. Like that. And then you start to see the results, good, bad, or indifferent. The emotional changes that I started to see, we offered it at our space, at our gym, and we didn't push it. We just kind of put some flyers up, and then people started coming and talking to me about, and people I wasn't even expecting. You know, it's like, oh, hey, I'm on the program. I'm like, ooh, which one? For what? Oh, I'm on the weight loss program. And the different stories that I started to get, I was like, man, as much as I know these people, I don't really know what's really going on, what deeply is inside of them that they are looking to do. And it really opened my eyes to, you know, that person that you think might be just crushing life. And then it's like, hey, they're not happy with something that isn't there. And they used the tool, they got on the weight loss drugs, they got to where they wanted to get, and then they moved on with continuing to do what they were doing. So through that, you know, it's like, it's exciting and it's different, which again kind of lines up with when I went to Polar. I think I left there with a PhD in heart rate training, you know, being around you and Jose and all these and Don, and just learning so much all the time. And it's like, man, I could never know this without the tool. And the wearable was such an amazing tool. Well, we're kind of fast forwarded 20 years and now we're in a new space where it is scarier because a lot of people have different, I think, levels of comfortability with medicine. But how do we do it ethically? And how do we do it the right way? And that's really the strongest point of being with Korb, is that we're not just slinging it. You can't just pick up the phone, set an appointment, and get the drug shipped to you the next day. You're meeting just like we are, face to face with the provider. We have criteria. If you don't meet it, we're not going to put you on it. But then they're there every month to continue to build the relationship and support the people. And the stories we hear, you know, there are people breaking down and crying and just having these emotional kind of breakthroughs. That's so exciting.
Yeah,
it's just helping in a new way.
it brings back memories to me. Polar and before with Equinox, we had implemented work with medical professionals when it was fen-phen and when it was lap band surgery, you know, and they're obviously different situation. It's not an apples to apples comparison, but what you're defining from a framework standpoint is your assessment, how's your education, what's the activation look like, what are you guys measuring, and it's a community approach, right? You're talking about medical doctors. Where does an organization fail, and what does good look like?
In the bridge, or let's say
In
a
the
provider.
framework itself, because obviously you've learned a lot in having a business and then implementing it in your business. You're that use case. So, you know, and you've also then brought on other owners and operators and other organizations. What's been your learning of, hey, this is what good looks like, and this is where I think
Okay.
organizations need to really understand that's not good, or that's going down a path that is not going to scale for you.
That makes total sense. I think I've been referencing this with treadmills lately. Like, does a treadmill increase revenue? I mean, there's some that would argue yes, but where do we keep going with treadmills? Is it going to be a 36-inch TV on it, and you're almost alone anyways, but now you're kind of in this cocoon of a machine. The things that I think aren't good is when it's just brought in because it's hot. It's the next big thing. Everybody else is doing it. We need to have it into place. It's going to make us competitive. If we don't do it, we're going to lose market share because the place down the road has it. Well, you can have lots of things, and if they're not being utilized or educated, or the user doesn't understand why they're using it, Just because it's there doesn't mean they're going to use it. It the the lack of information I think we take for granted because we've lived in this for so many years is the general population has so little information on really how to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
We got a sauna and cold plunge at our CrossFit probably about 8 years ago. And people are like, why would I do that? And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean? Why would you do that? You know, like there's so many benefits. And then it was like, oh, again, I had to learn. We've done it. We did bad job multiple times with supplements. Just bring them in, put it on the shelf, and it's like, oh, they're not selling. And then it's like, well, I thought back again. Okay, hey man, remember when you brought Fit Aid in? You just took cans of it and you gave away more of it at the beginning than you did at the end. And now if we were to get rid of Fit Aid, we'd have a mutiny because everybody's just like, oh, hey, he really took the time to kind of tell us why we should take this and when, and it's beneficial. It's much easier with 500 people under your roof than it probably is with 50,000. But we have in those large big box spaces, there are people that don't necessarily have a job. Some trainers are trying to find clients, but are we teaching them how to really approach and to be able to connect and have a relationship before you try to sell them something? The ones that do it well crush it, and I think it's difficult to explain to somebody else, like, how do you do that? Oh, you spend time and you teach your people how to communicate and what that kind of empathetic relationship should be, that nobody you're going to work with is where you are 90% of the time. You're going to know 10 times more than them. You exercise and eat better than they do, but don't live up here because you've done that and put yourself on this box. If you do that, you're cutting yourself because you're just going to lose people. Nobody wants to be. I think we have enough negative impact and reinforcement. It's like, hey, where are you at? Oh, okay. You eat fast food 3 times a week. What if you could cut it down to 2 times? And not lead with the negative of like, man, I can't believe that. You're trying to kill yourself, blah, blah, blah. It's the good ones are learning to educate and communicate and to create community. I mean, that's really all it ends up being is you know who the people are that are under your roof. What are they asking for? I mean, for me, it's easy. Anytime a new gym opens up in Austin, I join because I just want to know what the experience is like. I want to see it. And I joined a Crunch, one of the new Crunches that opened up down the street. And the woman at the front desk, after 2 times, would just call me by my name. And I was like, whoever trained her, that's amazing. Or she's just doing it innately. And if that's the case, everybody needs to be watching her because it made me feel good. I think the little things get lost in the big things.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. People underinvest in leveraging education and skills around having people being coached, but also teaching them what actually good looks like, right?
Yeah.
Give us kind of like 3 things that you track monthly that help predict adherence of a successful program, going forward. Because you're bringing in, peptides, you're bringing in hormones. What are some KPIs that you promote or teach people?
Attendance, the attendance of, if it's one-on-one, if it's a class, whatever that is, and the attendance to where are they attending? Have they locked on to somebody that they come to that person's class and all of a sudden like that person really resonates with them? It's like watching those tides ebb and flow. And it's not necessarily that the person that has a full class, sometimes it's just because of the timing of it, but a lot of times people go to who they like. And you'll see that if a trainer's schedule gets messed up and all of a sudden they were a morning person, now they go to the evening, most of those people, if they can, they're going to go with them. They're going to stay with that person that's feeding them somehow. And I think a lot of times, again, we kind of fall into, well, if nobody's coming to that class, let's just cut it. And it's like, well, what if we dug in a little bit and it was like, man, that person's a great instructor when class starts, but they don't really have the communication skills part of connecting when people walk in. They don't know how to make it feel warm and welcoming. That goes all the way to all this stuff. Whatever the decision is of the person, they're the person that's paying you to do whatever it is you're doing. The last thing I want to do is tell them what they think is absolutely wrong. It's like listening, taking that in, maybe regurgitate it to them back where you're kind of throwing in maybe how to change it a little bit, but not telling them, man, you've been doing this wrong your whole life. Good luck. Again, I think we missed the people part of it a lot of the times. We get so encapsulated with more members, more programs. We need more treadmills. What's the newest thing on the block? We've got to have it. Sometimes just the newness of all this clutter, we lose track of who it's even for at the end.
You're very 100% on that. It's understanding your community. It's not the treadmill that gets them to join. It's a win-win. It's a strategic partnership that
Yep.
it starts from your staff to the operator and the owner being present, and everyone leads by example. That's something that I'm hearing from you clearly, and it reminds me exactly of the businesses that that like Lifetime, and it is operationally they have a checklist, they have an approach, they have an onboarding process, they have taught staff to interact with people. When you're presenting Korb Health to some of these operators and some of these owners, does it provide a solution as a win-win with health systems, with experts and institutions? How does that win-win look like? Because obviously these are things that, as a gym owner, they're not a doctor, right? So,
Right.
How does that look? What does a win-win look like?
I think initially, it's again, now I'm going the opposite way. It is about numbers. Oh, the more people that you have access to, the better the outcome's going to be. But in reality, it all becomes, do you have the things in place that are going to draw these people in along with the different programs, verticals that we have? Women's health, men's health, the testosterone replacement. Right now, the peptides that we offer are kind of longevity based, but sermorelin, which is kind of a strength based. Those fit very easily, plug and play in a fitness facility. Everybody's in there. They're probably, that's on their mind. The GLP-1 is it takes somebody thinking a little bit out of the box, and the conversation is different. The marketing's different. If I offer this, what am I doing except for just kind of showing that we sell these things? Is there a place for that person to come into this space? Are we providing them not only part of the solution? And that's the thing as well, is the medication alone is not, it's going to do part of its job, but it's not going to do the other things that really matter. It's the medication, it's changing your diet, and it's moving. If you have a strong meal plan or nutritional program in your facility, what an amazing way to enhance it with people that are looking for help. How do I move? How do I exercise? It's not necessarily, it's kind of thinking outside of the box. Two colleagues of mine that I talk to regularly, Bob Esqueria, which I think you know him.
I know Bob really well. Yeah.
He's been in this space a really long time, and then another one, her name is Ann Gilbert, and they're really pushing the boundaries on, if you have a pool and you don't have a pool program that's really focused around this for this particular group, then you're missing out. And based on what they both tell me, because they manage clubs with pools and stuff, they're like, the pool is the biggest loss leader in the facility.
Yeah.
But now if I say, hey, I want you to come to this class. We offer these programs. If you're on a GLP-1 and you want to get it here, well, this is where we want you to go. We want you to get into these programs. It's going to limit the joint abuse. You're not going to come out of it and feel wrecked. So they'll come back the next day. You're going to work with a small group of people. Okay, I'm going to meet some friends. All of those things are what makes it. You can build a community in 50,000 membership facility, but it has to be started off with small baby steps to get them going in the right direction.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's how you survive year 2 and year 3 and year 4. Because everyone, to your point, like heart rate training, right? I'm going to bring it in, and I just expect it to work. And I expect members to buy it, and I expect members to understand it. And I'm going to have this big board on the wall and giving all this information back to the member, and then they're going to get an email, and they're going to have a phone app. But again, there's no programming, there's no support. The owner and operator are disconnected. They're not surveying the staff sometimes, they're not surveying the member. The good ones are, and they understand that you're bringing this in. This has to be maintained and to the table for it to survive year 2. Programming is essential. It has to be part of the DNA, and it doesn't have to be about equipment or technology in some cases. But talking about buy-in, what are some data stories that consistently convert skeptics that are typically on the finance side or on HR departments? That help you bring it down to a gym floor level?
So, the amazing team that I'm on here with Korb, first off, of really making sure structurally that we're doing it right. We have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. We have the indemnification that comes, that we can show you the documents. Like, if you partner with us, you're not legally liable for this. You just marketed it and they came on their own volition to us. They've signed up under our umbrella. We don't want you to give advice on any of the medical programs. Let's focus. You guys do what you do really well, and now you have a partner that's going to care for them the way that you want them cared for, and you know that we're going to be doing it. I think that has been a really big part of it. We actually, one of the things that I always do too is that when people are interested and we start to get to, that getting closer to the finish line, I'm like, I want you to go through and meet with one of our providers so you understand the experience. So you can see that it's personal, that everybody isn't going to get on the medication. And we had somebody that actually wanted to go as a potential partner and signed up and went through it, and they denied the person because they didn't meet the criteria. And that was a huge win. That's not, our goal isn't to just sell it to anybody. It's to get the right people on it and help to move them successfully to wherever it is they want to go. That's always the first thing that comes up, is like, who's responsible? We're a medical company. We have doctors. We have a chief medical officer. We have everything here, and it's all under one umbrella as well. So our providers work for Korb. We're not farming anything out. It's one message from the top down. But also with that too, when you come in, you get the same provider month to month to month to month. So you're building a relationship. And a lot of times that's what I tell them. I'm like, this is just like a personal trainer. If I came into the gym and each time I trained I was with somebody different, man, we call it continuity of care. In the gym setting, it'd be frustrating. It's like, man, I already did that. Like, well, he left me notes. Well, okay, how far does a note get you? When we have that they look forward to it too. The patients look forward to it, and they know they have a team behind them. I host educational webinars monthly as well, and tell them that when we're on these webinars, it's like, hey, I'm just another part of your team, and we're providing this information so you're successful. The negative leads on anything, and with these in particular, the 2 years ago, it was like, get on these drugs and you're going to have pancreatitis and everything's going to fall apart and da 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 da. And it was like, we have providers that have never had one patient deal with any side effects because they are constantly on them. Are you eating? Are you getting enough protein in? And through that, it starts to help make the behavioral changes. You know, it doesn't happen on the first visit, but it does that continual, hey, you've got to do this. You've got to do this if you really want to have the benefit of doing this. They go hand in hand to me.
100%. It's a habit loop from intake to retention. You know, that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about and how you build an effective program. You know, so it sounds like you guys have milestones, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and it keeps going. How do you train the trainers? You know, what's your coaching quality at scale?
So that's with our newest partners. I'm actually going to go out on site and do some work with the trainers. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to do this. You know, I've spent a lot of time over my career kind of working with the boots on the ground person. And it's really educating them on the guidance. And it's not I mean, the last thing you'd want to do is be like, hey, you should go get on this program. You need to go call Korb and go do this. It's like, we have to really figure out what works best within your ecosystem. How do you sell something now? I want to know how they do it. I'm not going to go in and tell them my way to do it, however they've been trained. And then it's like, okay, well, based on that conversation, maybe it's flyers. Maybe it's you just have the information. You're like, hey, here are some other programs. I know that part of your goal is to get to this, whether it's muscle gain or a little bit of weight loss or a lot of weight loss, whatever that is. It's like, well, hey, we've partnered with this company. We believe in this company. We've vetted them. Take this and check it out, you know? And if you do sign up, let me know so I know what you're doing. I think, again, that the communication back and forth. As people get on this more and more, and let's say they're on it and they're still exercising or they've been active, those people suffer a lot, especially if the group that they're training with doesn't know what's going on with them, because they'll crash because they probably aren't eating enough. It's hard for them to consume enough protein, and all of a sudden they're trying to maintain what they were doing, and now they don't have the energy to do it because they have no fuel. So again, it's like having this cross communications, but not doing it in a way that violates HIPAA or really impedes the scope of work that the personal trainer can do. It's really just kind of being what does my wife always say? Be interested. You know, wonder what it is. Ask these questions because you're interested in knowing what's going on.
You got to get a little sign and put it right on your desk, whatever the wife says, right?
I mean, she's always right anyway. So, you know, I've learned a lot from her. And at the end of the day, we're in the infancy of this. I really feel. Yeah. I personally feel that this could potentially become something that's just like supplements in this space, but the adoption has to be adopted the right way.
I think it will, and I think health behaviors become part of the identity. It's allowed now to be having a discussion. It's creating community. Yeah. It's also inviting in a population that's not been serviced, that obviously has not been able to have a part of the group, right? Because they've always been part of a gym, but they've never seen results. Or they've always been working out, but they're still 30 to 50 pounds overweight. You know, yep. Or now they've aged and they have less energy, less vitality, and are just, well, it's part of the aging process. And these are the things, right? These are the behaviors that we're trying to change. So where can an underperforming program change? How can you redesign this? Because I think what you're saying, everyone wants to be able to have an ability to change their habit, you know, as a professional, as a member, you know, how do we move a big door? How do we change that?
Another great question. I just was talking about this. I think it starts small. Find the champions. Find the couple of folks that really have let any bias they have just kind of go away, and they're really like, okay, what happens? And I kind of lead with this whenever I do talk to trainers. I'm like, what if you became the subject matter expert on this? And what if you had a client that lost under your care, and they were on this other program and lost 70, 80 pounds, and was like just raving about life? Do you not think that person would walk out into the streets and everybody that saw them, that knew them, would be like, what have you been doing? Well, I trained with Bill. You would have more clients than you could ever imagine having. And I love that process more than trying to beat it over people's heads like you need to do it, because I feel like then they're doing it because they've been forced to do it, so that the people will see through that. They'll read right through the tea leaves on that one pretty quick. But the person that really is like, man, okay, maybe I got into this. Maybe their journey into fitness was through some of this. Like, that's the best person that you could even have on staff. And speaking about Bob, he's working with Genesis now in Omaha, and he met this member that started off at 700 pounds, and the guy just comes in and works out in the pool by himself, and he just keeps coming, and now he's down to 350, something like that. Wow. And he's like, has a plan, and his plan is like, hey, I want to get to 2 something by 2026, this month, and that. They're reasonable goals. Well, so Bob has now put him in touch with Ann, and they're going to certify him to be an aquatics instructor. Like, that guy's classes are going to be packed because he's lived the experience. And again, he can connect with where they're at. He's lived the journey. I'm so excited to see how that outcome goes. It's that just opening up a little bit and being like, hey, I don't know everything. I mean, that mentality is only going to get you so far anyways.
Oh my God, yeah. It provided that you could walk away from your ego.
Exactly.
That's the biggest challenge.
And how hard is it to lose 5 pounds over, it's like the last part of the journey is the hardest.
Oh, yeah.
If you're getting with them at the beginning and you keep amping them up and you're the part of their support team, the losses and the gains they're going to get emotionally are going to be massive if you're able to support that in a way that hits more than just the physical of it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's all, it's truly, we always say mind, body, but now I think the mind part of this discussion is becoming more mental health, and it's really that social as well as behavioral, being more defined, not just about breathing and meditation. So I'm going to try something new here. Let's do a quick lightning round of a couple of questions here. What are some overrated wellness metrics that you hear of? Anything that comes top of your mind.
Gen Z.
Gotcha.
Just as a marker of data collection, they've
been beaten up. I think misunderstood a little. I think they're a product of what the environment is. I agree with you. But I also think every generation's been defined that way.
Yeah.
What are some underrated readiness signals in dealing with clients and dealing with people that have started down this path? Is it HRV? Is it sleep? Is it, what do you think is underrated for people to understand that readiness?
HRV. HRV done in a way that's easily attained. and we actually kind of ran using Sprint, if you're familiar with them, and we did a fitness challenge in our company, and people were coming back to me and they're like, man, my numbers are all over the place. It's different every day. And I'm dealing with some smart folks, and I was like, well, yeah, let me tell you what's really going on so you can understand. Again, you're getting data. Maybe certain points you don't want it to be the same. And how something so easy now, I mean, I remember back in the day to be able to get that, it wasn't nearly as what it is now. But if you really can correlate that into how did you sleep? Were you stressed? What are you eating? All those things now, and it's like, boom, it's right here. Pay attention to this number, and if you start to really do some of these other things, you can see a change in that in a week. Like
and
the
it's
instantaneousness of the feedback.
Yeah.
And really understanding it, and not trying to push it into some kind of a metric to train off of.
Yep.
Just learn from it.
It's a trend. It's not a day-to-day thing. That's the one thing I always stress with people that have bought wearables or gym owners and operators. Well, yesterday it was 50 and today it was 48. Or, and it's like, wait, that's life. Let's talk
Right.
about week to week, month to month. Let's talk about that. What's a 30-day plan look like? Can you define what does one for health, one for engagement, and one for your business? How do you explain that to align with the listeners and with everyone that's hearing this? How do you create a mission that aligns with them for health, for engagement, and for business?
Man, you're laying it out there. You got some solid questions, Marcelo.
Well, it's something that I think people are wanting to really get a grasp of, right? Because obviously you have a partner. I'm bringing in Korb Health. They have medical professionals, and you brought up the topic of indemnity, which I think a lot of owners and operators just assume that they buy something, that they're typically indemnity falls to the business, right? Because companies that are selling it, one, they don't want to talk about that. It's great that your organization is, because that's the biggest thing that I feel is the biggest issue, So I want to get an understanding of what does So if I bring this in, what in my first 30 days, what does it look like? How does it align with my mission? What would be one health goal? What would be one engagement goal? What would be one business goal? Would it be for health? Would it be just obviously? I look at it this way, and tell me if I'm wrong. Is I'm going to take control of this subject that obviously is out in my community, which is peptides, hormones, and demystify this labeling of these medications. From an engagement standpoint, it might be having webinars, having videos regularly, like you talk about. You do a part of the organization. You're there available. And then from a business standpoint is, hey, I'm going to now have a counter card sign, or I'm going to have a QRS code in my men's and women's locker rooms.
Yeah.
What in my first 30 days do you guys work with? Because obviously it's bespoke and it's different ecosystems like you talked about.
Yeah.
Am I kind of spot on kind of my recommendations there and how it looks like everything?
Yeah, you are, and we're really into the data. So we go in. The first 30 days, honestly, is more just about figuring out based off of their metrics with what is your email open rate? How do you communicate to your members? What channels do you use? Do you use them well? What's the reception like? And then what is the communication that you're going to send them? You want it, is it, hey, go try this? Or is it we've partnered with? Without the partnering being in there, that you lose some credibility with your member base. So looking at those metrics, so we kind of have an idea of what the kind of load is going to look like once these emails go out. That first 30 days is really us collecting data. I would say the 60 and 90 are when we really start to do the work. Because we can start to see, okay, it looks like, let's say, Club A, you have a lot of people that came in for GLP-1. Well, how could we start to guide them to programs? Do we have anything going on now that we don't need to create, we don't need to put any more manpower in it, that we could just send out another message that says, hey, we have this going on, and this is a great place for you to be able to go while you're on your GLP-1 journey. So us kind of getting the optics on that so we can then help them to guide people where to go. And then let's say that Club B, it's a spattering of a variety of different programs. Well, hey, what's your age demographic? You know, what is it, a younger club? Can you share that data with us? Because then again, we can come in, we can start to work with our team and our ops team to be really calibrate the marketing to make more sense. If we're talking to weight loss for a 22-year-old, depending on where they're at, they have zero interest. Well, let's look at it and go, man, are they 27, just started their first job, stressed out, burnout? Well, maybe something in our longevity line is the way to go. Let's talk about longevity and work. So when you come to the gym, you still have something left in the tank. Those are success metrics to me. You know, it's like pulling the data back. Because again, with the relationship of this, with the HIPAA at this point of not being able to share information back and forth of who it is, but we can share numbers. Hey, this many signed up, this many did this. It really becomes a great dance almost of us providing them, and then we watch, and then we fine tune, and then we watch, and then we fine tune. One of our partners, we're partnered with InShape Fitness. So they have 75 locations in Northern California, actually all over California, but they have, which for me excites me, they already have so many different programs in place that now it's like, okay, we've been running this for a few months. Now let's start to get these other programs in place and start directing people to these programs. Because yes, this is one new revenue stream, but it's already in your ecosystem. There are people that are already there. Maybe they didn't even really understand what that program meant. And now it's like, let's direct it there. Let's guide them there. That to me is the growth that I think gets the owner operators really excited, is when internally, let's say my average member spend is $200 and I bump it up now to $305 because they've added on a personal training or a yoga, or they're seeing a nutritionist, and then having the kind of wherewithal to pull that data back. Hey, what brought you into here? So you're really starting to connect the dots. That part of the system, it sounds like a lot, but when I go to these conferences, man, I'm like, ABC Fitness can track how many steps somebody took before they walked into the door. I'm like, it's amazing the amount of data that they can collect. Let's start to correlate that now with the demographic of that information. And then it ends up being, I mean, it's a win-win. It's a slow process because it's very new. We have kind of this generational gap as well. 50 plus, telemed is kind of one of those like, I'd rather go to the doctor. They're dipping their toe into it. The middle, that 30 to 50, they're kind of like, whatever. I'll take it or leave it. Under 30, they're only doing telehealth. They have zero interest in going into the doctor. And then also with that, now learning what that means to be a real telehealth company, we have master technicians in a sense in this. When you come in and you get on women's health, you're going to meet month to month with somebody that actually is going to ask the correct questions to make sure you're on the dosing you need to be on. Not like, oh yeah, I got prescribed it, but I can't get back in to see my doctor for 6 months. And I feel horrible and I don't know what to do. Those lead to, they're just going to quit. Or because it's so bad and they're not sure what to do, or they ask a friend, and it just takes it outside of the ecosystem. And YouTube University, I think, is so easy to go down the rabbit hole of like, Oh, I shouldn't be on that. And then you can get that reinforced 75 times within an hour. It with all the AI talk, I'm like, the communication of human beings is still a very, very valuable part of the experience in those facilities.
Yeah, I think, yeah, people have to control the narrative. Owners have to be present. The data
Yeah.
is there to your point, but what are you doing with the data? Is it working towards the outcomes that you're trying to do? It's, I think so much has come out of this discussion. I think if you're a leader, a director, a wellness operator, and you really want practical blueprints, you want to connect with Dave either on LinkedIn or check out Korb Health Group. The links I'll provide in the show itself. I really want to thank Dave for the insight and for the work that you're doing to make the health system more humane and more effective. And I think you speak from it as an owner operator, as a practitioner, as well as now a person that's consulting and directing owners and operators to really take control. So thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to catch up again and have another conversation with you, but to share this with the community.
Well, I'm very grateful as well. Everybody's going to take what they want from it, but this is my perspective on it. And I think the thing that I hear more than anything is we want to grow from the 20 to 23% that the industry kind of expands to and retracts to. It's like, what if we what if we went to 30%? Nobody's doors would even be able to handle the amount of people coming in with
Well,
that 5% boost.
it also talks about, like, do I need to get more members through the door, or do I need to actually provide more engagement that gets more ancillary revenue through services, right? Or
Yeah.
through
Yep.
products or programming. And I think that goes back to my days of working with Bob Square, like you mentioned, that he was very good about it. Him, David Harris, and a couple of other people back then, Don Moxley, you've mentioned on the call, Jose Maresma, guys like yourself and, me have seen, you know, over the last, 3 decades, what really truly works and what's truly going to stick.
Yep.
So I think, I think this is a great opportunity for an owner and operator to engage with a community that is willing to put their skin in the game. And I think that's really something that is being more and more of interest for owners and operators, especially if you want to scale with this. You got to scale with a partner unless you're going to actually have someone in the health system locally participate in this process, and that's not necessarily always going to be the case. So,
Right.
again, I'll make sure to get any links. If there's anything that you want to else share with the group, I'll make sure to include it in the notes. But really, thanks again, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Fantastic. Me too. Thanks again, Marcelo.